The Mysterious Disappearance of the Keeper of the Light
by Alpha Elementary School, Toronto, Canada.
If you go to the Toronto Islands today, you might see through the tops of the trees the Gibraltar Point Lighthouse.
This lighthouse has a story.
A story of murder,
horror,
mystery. It's a scary story.
Toronto was called the town of York.
Things were very different in those days.
There were no skyscrapers.
There were no buses or trains.
There were no streetcars.
Only a few small houses.
And there was no CN Tower.
Oh my goodness!
Hello, welcome to the town of York. We hope you enjoy your stay.
It was a very important trading place, so lots of ships came and went.
Lake Ontario is huge, like a sea, with terrible winds and strong currents.
But worst of all, the terrible sandbank, which made it so hard to steer a clear path into the harbor.
Many ships ran aground before they got to port.
All these ships are sinking. We need a lighthouse for the lake.
We need a lighthouse. All our ships are going. We're going to lose everything we worked for.
Also, the town of York was under threat by Americans.
So many lives lost. It's terrible.
We need a lighthouse.
Let's build a lighthouse.
Finally, in 1808, they built the lighthouse at Gibraltar Point.
It was the first lighthouse on the Great Lakes.
And the oldest stone building in Toronto.
The townspeople were delighted.
Yes!
Now we need to find a lighthouse keeper.
Who will be qualified for this job?
J.P. Rattlemiller, of course.
I would like to apply for the job of lighthouse keeper.
So soon J.P. moved to the lighthouse and got settled in with his wife and child.
In the beginning, the light ran on whale oil. It was very expensive.
Just remember, JP, you must always wake up early to turn out the light. And remember, you must always lock the door. Someone might steal the oil.
JP was very paranoid. He would always get up in the middle of the night thinking he forgot to lock the door. JP's dream was always to have his own farm.
Oh, I've always wanted to have some pigs and a cow and maybe some sheep, but how could I ever afford it?
Suddenly, he had an idea.
Ding! JP knew it was illegal to sell whiskey, but he had his own recipe, so he decided he would sell it to the soldiers.
The soldiers were based at Fort York and provided a ready market for JP's whiskey.
Whiskey is a very tasty thing.
Let's go over to the island and see if JP's got any bottles.
Yes, we shall.
And so, every Sunday the soldiers would come to buy whiskey, while the other townsfolk were at church.
JP, give me whiskey.
Yes, JP, we'll pay you a fair amount. I got a fine batch right here waiting for you. We're going to have a big party and celebration.
We need 12 bottles of whiskey by New Year's.
Oh, yes, of course. We'll have 12 bottles ready for you by New Year's Eve.
But JP wasn't thinking. He was too focused on getting the money for his farmland since he almost had enough. He knew already that he could only get 6 bottles in one batch.
So, what is he to do?
There was only one thing he could do: to water down the whiskey and hope he'd get away with it.
It was the night of the party, New Year's 1815. The soldiers collected the 12 bottles of whiskey. At least they thought it was whiskey and set out to enjoy themselves.
What is all stuck up? Yeah, stop. It just stuck. What is going on? Cut this whiskey. What's JP?
Let's go and sort that JP out.
We shall.
Despite the fact that it was a cold, snowy winter's night, the soldiers set out to the lighthouse. The fog was eerie. It was very quiet. The snow was coming down. The fog was thick. The soldiers were lost. They saw a mysterious figure on the ice.
Halt! Who goes there? Yes, tell us who you are.
The mysterious figure pointed to the faint glow of the light.
JP, come out! Come out now! We know you're in there! Come out! We know you're in there! Get out and face up! You can't hide forever!
The next morning the fog had lifted. The fisherman came looking for his friend JP.
When he came closer to the lighthouse, he already noticed something strange. The door was slightly ajar. When he walked inside, he couldn't believe his eyes.
There was blood everywhere.
It was on the wall. It was on the stairs.
It was on the ceiling.
There was so much blood, it looked like 13 cows had been slaughtered right there in the lighthouse.
But of JP there was no sign.
It was a mystery!
A horror.
A murder story.
Or was it? The fisherman climbed the steps nervously, not knowing what he would find. And on the 13th step from the top, there, frozen in blood, was the lighthouse key.
Many years later, the story still remained a mystery, but a new lighthouse keeper named Dernan moved in.
One day Dernan's son was playing on the beach.
Hey, little son, yay! Ah, what is that?
Dernan's son had made a horrible discovery. A pile of human bones. Was this the body of the missing J.P. Rademiller? Who knows what really happened? Only the lighthouse and the ghost that lives there.
Hi, my name is Manuel Capel. I'm the current volunteer lighthouse keeper of this fine structure. The ghost story involving this building is that John Paul Rademiller, the first keeper, was murdered by soldiers inside this tower, and his body was mysteriously disposed of in a dispute over booze, and that his ghost haunts this tower to this day. All I know for a fact is, number one, this was not his residence, it was his place of work. If he was murdered, he would have been murdered at his residence, which no longer exists, but was roughly some 75-100 feet to the west. Furthermore, no one was ever charged with his murder. Mind you, under the state of common law at the time, it was almost impossible to get a conviction without a corpse. So if his killers managed to get rid of the corpse successfully enough, they would have evaded prosecution, and that is perhaps what they did. No one knows for sure. In 1956, this tower was decommissioned as a working lighthouse, and the last lighthouse keeper, the last official paid lighthouse keeper, a Ms. Dodie Dodds, floated the ghost story in an attempt to garnish some media interest, because she felt that without it, the tower would be torn down by the municipal government of the day, which, due to usual governmental preoccupations about liability and so on, was a very real danger. She would state that it was haunted, and she had ghost tours of some sort and tried to interest the media and other children to various degrees of success in the ghost story as a way, ironically, of preserving the structure. And in that respect, the ghost story certainly worked, because it's here now and it's recognized to be an important historical artifact within the building stock of the city of Toronto. And that's all, folks.